We have a title for our talk. Yesterday I didn't have one, so still looking for somebody to help me out on that one. But we'd like to talk about daily meditation with others is our title today.
And more specifically, in a way, it's about being here at the daily online meditation and how you and Linda and I balance our needs, your needs, with the needs of the group.
Yes, that we know that the self is impacted and formed by others. And in Buddhist philosophy and psychology, we are interdependent and interconnected.
And this brings up a psychological need or a perspective, which is that we're dependent upon one another. Interdependent sounds really good, really upbeat, and dependent, not so good. It's hard to face that we have personal needs that must be satisfied by others, certainly when we're children and certainly when we're old people. And in between that, there is always, not always, but there is the need for affection, love, shelter, physical care, food, warmth, protection, security. We could go on and on.
Dharma friendship, spiritual friendship. And I think this is, I mean, it's a thing, like psychology has defined it as dependency needs. And they're really sometimes hard to face. They're hard to face when we're young. We have to really break away to separate ourselves in our terrible twos and threes. But as we're getting older, it's harder to actually be alone with some of these needs when they're not met. It can be very difficult.
And I think we all can resonate with that one way or the other. But then we were wanting to sort of hone in on this daily online meditation. We could be talking about different meditation groups, but we're going to talk about the one we're in right now. And we're forming one another in this daily online meditation group. But again, in all meditation groups, how the Dharma talks are presented by the teacher or teachers forms our sense of how the Dharma is in our life and our whole understanding of Dharma.
Right. And that we're going to hear in this group different voices, different ways the Dharma is expressed. How does that affect you and the way you know the Dharma for yourself? Does it give you more permission to find your own language? Does it actually overwhelm you at times because you don't know what should you be paying attention to? Because there's a lot of different ways of talking about the Dharma in our group.
Right, in our group. And then if you spread it out to Buddhism that you're
Yeah.
exposed to in your communities or your world or your online surfing, there are so many ways the Dharma is presented. And we intentionally have different people doing different Dharma talks. It works out for us, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But also, we think it's important that it doesn't all come from one teacher on high.
Right, right. And that one teacher on high has often ended in difficult situations, harm, also just misunderstanding. And um, I would I would even say the lack of you really having the confidence to find your own voice when there's one teacher on high. And that's such a big part of the Dharma that we focus on, is finding your own way, finding your own voice.
Definitely. So, I'm sure you've noticed if you're regulars, and most of you are, that Linda and I no longer come to the group daily. Though when we started this group almost 4 years ago, Linda and I did the Dharma talks right daily. Soon thereafter, we invited some others in, like Janet and Bill. But yeah, we started doing this every day. Yikes.
Yikes. Yikes. And we couldn't keep it up. I mean, that's, we needed, there's the need right there. We needed other teachers. We needed other voices. One of the reasons I am not able to attend daily is I started to get burned out. Nellie and I both started to get burned out. And now it's more of the life kind of coming back in of doctor's appointments and exercises, and because I have to do exercise and probably you do too, but it's not always that it has to be at 9 a.m. It's the way my schedule is. It's also Sangha work. I'm often working on other things for the other groups, and I just find myself sitting at a different time. And very often I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking of the daily online. While I'm sitting, I'm just not here. That has been part of my experience. Nellie, you had an interesting choice.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that I really prefer to listen to the Dharma talks of others when it feels right for me, and especially I do it on walks. And I love having the podcast, the reflective meditation podcast, right there in my Apple feed. And I listen when it feels like the time is right. And I really hope that you all take advantage of this way because it is another way of being involved with the daily online. So others don't know you're being involved. It's an interesting way.
And
No,
that,
no cameras, no video for us, me at that time.
right, right. Because really, what Nellie and I have both noticed is with us in our talks that people are really listening and really taking in the Dharma talks very receptively. And there's a lot of interaction, and especially for those people who share or speak up and talk about their experience after a Dharma talk. In a way, it's very orienting because we know your needs. We're getting feedback. There's that feedback loop, um, and that helps us form our next topic. And it really is a kind of a continuing conversation. As I mentioned yesterday, it seemed like we've been having a one long topic of spiritual bypassing that seemed to just go on for quite a long time.
And we don't know, many of the same people share regularly, and we're so happy. I'm so happy anyway. I'll speak for myself when you speak up. Um, but then there are others that don't share, and we don't know what's going on with you. How could we know?
Right, right. Though you keep coming back to hear the Dharma talks and to be present and part of a larger group. For us, this is how many people do we have today? 22, but this is a larger group. Often our small groups are between 5 and 7, 10 people. Um, so that may have something to do with it too, is the size of the group may
Right?
be a little bit more vulnerable to share as we typically do in this approach.
Yeah, indeed. Um, yeah, so we're really curious about the people who don't speak up, what's going on, but that's kind of a hard thing to ask if you because it's really just fine to not speak up. It
Right.
all does work out. But still, it's interesting to wonder, is it your lack of trust about what might happen, or your fear of being vulnerable, or some other fear, or we don't know.
Hmm.
Or maybe staying silent out of responsibility,
Or out of respect,
out of respect,
respect
because,
for others.
and respect for, if you didn't like the Dharma talk, respect for not speaking up and saying, that didn't really make sense to me, or it didn't hit home for me, or
Right,
whatever. Yeah.
right,
And I'm sure that's true
right, right.
for some
So
of you
that
some of the time.
for some people some of the time, and also that's I think kind of what we want to end on is perceiving your needs and the needs of the group, and is there a tension there, um, um, and how do you balance those needs and get your needs met, and also the needs of this group continuing and being sustainable, and you need to take some time off, but would the group fold if we all took the same day off? Yes, it wouldn't happen that day. Yeah.
And that's a very tricky thing that we're doing in all our relationships, including these Dharma friendship relationships? What are our needs? What are the needs of the group? How can we go about balancing them, or at least attending to them?
Right. Okay, so I think I'm on bells this morning.